Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Breaking news tonight from the heart of Gaza, a stunning and deadly ambush that has left the Israeli military reeling. In a coordinated and highly sophisticated strike, Hamas fighters obliterated an Israeli military convoy moving through the southern Gaza Strip. What was supposed to be a routine movement of troops and supplies has turned into one of the deadliest setbacks for Israel since the beginning of this war. According to multiple field sources, the ambush took place shortly before dawn near Khan Yunis. The Israeli convoy consisted of armored personnel carriers, troop transports, and engineering vehicles clearing debris from earlier airstrikes. Hamas Al-Qassam Brigades have been monitoring the route for days, studying every movement through underground surveillance tunnels and drone feeds. When the timing was right, they launched a trap that detonated with devastating precision. The first explosion hit the lead vehicle, instantly blocking the road and trapping the entire column in a narrow corridor. Seconds later, a series of remote-controlled charges exploded along both sides of the road. Within moments, anti-tank missiles streaked from hidden positions, striking vehicles one after another. Witnesses describe a wall of fire lighting up the early morning sky, as if the entire horizon had erupted. Survivors reported total chaos. Communications down, dust and smoke so thick that soldiers couldn't see their own comrades. Hamas fighters poured fire from multiple directions, using the cover of smoke to close in. The Israeli troops tried to form a defensive perimeter, but the ambush was too sudden and too well planned. Several armored carriers burst into flames. Ammunition inside began to cook off, creating secondary explosions that rocked the area for nearly half an hour. By the time Israeli reinforcements arrived, the convoy was reduced to twisted metal and ash. Local residents said the explosions were so powerful that windows shattered miles away. Drone footage circulating online shows at least a dozen destroyed vehicles scattered across a stretch of highway, scorched black by fire. The Al-Qassam Brigades claimed full responsibility, calling the operation a decisive response to continued Israeli aggression. Their statement declared that Gaza's resistance had entered a new phase, one where Israeli ground forces would face destruction for every step they take inside the Strip. Hamas spokesman vowed more attacks of this scale if Israel continued its offensive. Inside Israel, the news spread like wildfire. Television channels broke into regular programming with grim live coverage from the border. Military analysts struggled to comprehend how such a well-defended convoy could be so thoroughly annihilated. Social media filled with shock and anger. Families of soldiers demanded answers from the government, while opposition leaders accused Prime Minister Netanyahu of leading the country into disaster. The Israeli Defense Forces confirmed significant casualties, but did not release an official number. Independent reporters and local observers estimate between 35 and 50 soldiers killed, with dozens more injured or missing. Several senior officers were believed to be among the dead. In Tel Aviv, emergency meetings stretched late into the night. Netanyahu and defense officials pledged a fierce retaliation. Within hours, Israeli warplanes roared over Gaza, striking suspected Hamas launch sites, tunnel entrances, and command posts. But residents say many of the bombs fell on crowded neighborhoods, setting homes ablaze and killing civilians. Hospitals already overwhelmed with wounded struggled to cope with the new influx of casualties. International reaction was immediate. The United Nations called for restraint, warning that further escalation could push the region toward a full-scale regional conflict. Iran and Hezbollah praised the ambush, describing it as a heroic act of resistance. The United States, meanwhile, condemned Hamas' attack and reaffirmed its support for Israel's right to defend itself. Analysts say this ambush reveals how deeply entrenched and tactically advanced Hamas has become. Despite Israel's continuous bombardment, the group has managed to maintain communication lines, intelligence gathering, and weapons production inside Gaza. Underground tunnels, once dismissed as rudimentary, have evolved into a complex network that allows Hamas fighters to appear and disappear at will. Experts also note that Hamas used advanced anti-tank weapons in this operation, possibly Cornet missiles or locally modified systems, capable of piercing Israeli armor. The timing, coordination, and electronic jamming involved suggest that this was not a spontaneous attack, but a meticulously planned military operation weeks in the making. For Israel, the loss is not just tactical, but psychological. It shatters the perception of control and superiority that the IDF has tried to project throughout the conflict. One Israeli commentator said bluntly on Channel 13 News, "If Hamas can wipe out an entire convoy this deep inside Gaza, no Israeli soldier is safe." On the streets of Gaza, the mood is defiant. Crowds gathered to celebrate what they call the victory of the resistance. Fireworks exploded in the sky, and chants echoed through narrow alleys. For many Palestinians, this attack is seen as a message that Gaza, though battered and besieged, will not surrender. Yet beneath the celebration lies fear. Everyone expects Israel to respond with overwhelming force. Civilians have begun fleeing southern districts, anticipating another wave of airstrikes. The United Nations has warned of a new humanitarian catastrophe if large-scale retaliation continues. Food, medicine, and fuel are already running out. Regional powers are watching closely. Hezbollah's forces along the Lebanese border have been placed on high alert. Iranian-backed militias in Iraq and Syria have threatened to open new fronts if Israel intensifies its operations. The Houthis in Yemen have issued statements promising to support Gaza by all means. What began as a localized ambush now risks spiraling into a multi-front confrontation stretching across the Middle East. Back in Israel, frustration among the public is growing. Critics accuse the government of underestimating Hamas and ignoring intelligence warnings. Soldiers' families are demanding to know why their sons were sent into known ambush zones without air cover or adequate reconnaissance. For many Israelis, this feels like the continuation of a war with no clear strategy or end. Military insiders suggest that Israel may now adopt harsher tactics, more airstrikes, deeper incursions, and possibly even targeted assassinations of Hamas leadership. But such measures may only inflame the situation further, as each act of retaliation fuels more anger and resolve among Gaza's fighters. As day turns to night, smoke from the destroyed convoy still hangs over Khan Yunis. The smell of burning fuel and metal drifts through the air. Rescue crews comb through the wreckage, searching for any survivors. A local journalist describes the scene as an inferno. The road itself seems to have melted. The world watches in disbelief as images flood social media. Burned tanks, shattered helmets, twisted steel, and the stark silhouette of Gaza's skyline against an orange sky. In the distance, the echo of drones hums overhead, a constant reminder that this war is far from over. For the families of those who died, there will be funerals and unanswered questions. For Gaza's civilians, there will be more fear, more destruction, and another long night of uncertainty. And for the leaders on both sides, there will be mounting pressure, one to avenge, the other to survive. As international mediators scramble once again to push for a ceasefire, the situation on the ground grows more volatile by the hour. Every strike, every explosion, every headline like this one makes peace feel more distant. The ambush in Gaza will go down as one of the defining moments of this conflict. A tactical triumph for Hamas, a strategic shock for Israel, and a reminder that in this war, neither side has achieved real security. It's a story of fire, fear, and resistance that continues to unfold before the eyes of the world. We will keep following this developing situation as new information emerges. For now, Gaza smolders, Israel mourns, and the Middle East braces for whatever comes next.